So, first thing, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you and tell me a little bit more about yourself and what this place is. So, what is your name?
My name is Wes. Been here at this location for 4 months now.
Now, what is this location?
So, our company is called Birchway. We handle digital strategy, business intelligence, website, SEO, big data, kinds of things. Started out just doing strictly website and SEO to get into the business. We've been doing all of that for 5 years, and we've added to our arsenal since then, from adding people to just adding new services that people need.
Fantastic. And for all the new people getting into web development, how did you start?
We started with, me personally, I started reading a book made by, I don't know, will it to be some fancy company that all talked about was HTML, CSS in one book. And the other book talked about JavaScript. So I started reading, and then from there we moved on to W3 School or schools.com and learned from there. It was free. I had absolutely no background in it. It was something that I'd always been interested in, but when someone comes up to you and asks you, hey, can you make me a new website? Sure, I'm not working, I'd love to. Let me learn. So that was basically how it started. Someone needed help, said I could do it, and built them a website after reading, doing some online tests and quizzes, and passing those to get certified, even though you're not really certified in anything other than, yeah, you can write some code. And that was it. From there, it's just been learning as you go. As we hire people, we have them teach us more of what they know. That's what got us into the big data piece. Web apps, mobile apps, again, all learned. And some of them we will do here in the office, others will have someone else out of the office make it. Still working for us directly, but just not physically here.
Now, how did the business start?
The business started, let's see. I had a mutual friend get in touch with me asking for website help and to create a social media presence for their company. Everyone knew social media. I was graduating high school when Facebook became a thing. So I kind of understood it from the beginning, and obviously in the past 5 years it's changed dramatically. But at that point, they needed a presence because they weren't getting any traffic to their website. They didn't know why. Well, number one was their website was 14 years old. Number two, no social media presence and nothing to help your company SEO-wise. So started on the social media piece, I did personally, and my business partner and I, Josh, he and I had talked about working together at some point, but we never really had figured out what we were going to do. And this kind of fell into my lap, and so I called him. He was working for a big data company here in Charlotte, and I said, hey, let's do this thing. So I worked out of my little tiny desk in my apartment in Charlotte, and he worked off of his countertop at his apartment, and that was it.
So
he would handle social, I would handle the web, and we started with one client, and eventually, well, at that point, he was still working for this other company, so he could make a paycheck, and so that I could get paid from our one client. Once that client was satisfied, the company took off based on word of mouth. It was, this company told 2 companies, those 2 told 10. And all of a sudden, within, 6 months, we had to move in and work next to each other. So he had gotten a new apartment with a 2nd bedroom, and we worked out of there for a year because low cost. He was already paying for the place, and it was a nice tax write-off for him, and it worked. And then we needed to add more people because we had too many clients, we couldn't handle it. So then we moved into another space in South End of Charlotte, and it was a space that was being sublet to us, and all it was just a bigger office than the bedroom that we came out of. We could add 2 more people in that office. So it wasn't big, but it wasn't small, but it worked for what we needed. And then we needed more. So that's what brought Birchway down to Fort Mill, and we've been adding clients ever since. And of course, you lose a couple here and there, but you make up for it. It keeps you motivated to continue to grow and do the right thing with your customers.
So very humble beginnings. And
very humble, yes, yeah. Weeks would go with no paychecks, months would go with no paychecks. With even one client, cash flow is not their concern.
Now, do you have a degree in software engineering or in web development?
No degree in software engineering, web design, SEO, none of that. My degree is in finance, marketing, and accounting.
So you essentially just don't even utilize it?
I don't utilize any of it. We're not a marketing firm. We build the digital presence, and yes, we'll run ads for you and all that, but we don't promote as a marketer because there's a million of those. We want to separate ourselves to be putting you in the digital world if you don't have a presence, or if you want to grow in any way in the digital space and you don't know how. That's where we fall in. But no real finance or accounting other than things that we do internally here. I handle the books here, and we have an accountant that handles everything else. I make sure that things look right and money's coming in, money's going out to where it needs to go, and that's about it.
So super inspirational story, especially for those young entrepreneurs who are trying to make a way and they just feel trapped.
Absolutely.
They feel like they're locked into a certain traditional system of how to make money. It's like,
yeah. Let's see, I'm 33. I graduated college when I was 23. I had to take a year off due to a traumatic brain injury in between my sophomore and junior, my junior year. And since then, I worked for John Hancock in the financial world. And after John Hancock, I worked for a local company in New York. And we handled large equipment rental supply and building materials. So I did some Excel stuff for them, but Excel is not websites, SEO, social media, data, those kinds of things. So let's see, I worked in a big agricultural company in South Florida, and I decided that I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. I wanted to do my own thing, and at that time, that's when that one opportunity fell in my lap, and I ran with it.
Now, were you married at this point in time?
I was not. No. Wait. I was married. Yes. My timetable's getting thrown off. I was married just before I moved to Charlotte, and my wife is a teacher.
So it's a huge risk factor to say, all right, look, I don't want to do this anymore.
Go from nothing, or go from a nice, well-paying job to nothing, living on my wife's teacher salary. We couldn't afford where we lived, but we made it work somehow. And then this opportunity fell in my lap, and it took off. I wanted to learn as much as I could before that, but when something falls in your lap, you've got to do something.
Wow. So, because there's so many people, especially my age, 21, 22, 23, who are kind of lost in the sauce, who are looking for a way, trying to make a way. And a lot of times they want to take risks, but they're extremely fearful that they won't work out. How do you cope with that?
Best advice is to just work your ass off. You know, there's that stigma now on the millennials that, you know, you're not considered a millennial, right?
I think I am.
Okay.
22, I think so.
Okay, I don't even know where the gaps are. I just know that the stigma is that the work ethic isn't there, and people, you know, young kids want to make a ton of money and do nothing. Well, no one's going to hire you with that attitude. So if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, you got to work 10 times what you would put into anything else. Excuse me. Because, you know, long nights, you know, your job is not 9 to 5. It's when you wake up to when you go to sleep. You live and breathe this until you're able to hire enough people to where you can enjoy the rest of the world a little bit more. But that doesn't come for a while. We didn't, you know, talking turning profit to where we were able to give ourselves a little something back. It took 3 years to turn a profit. You know, if it's your passion, you do it. If it's something that doesn't feel like work, you do it. If it still feels like you're going to work every day and it's your own company, you're not doing the right thing. I have my hobbies that keep me sane. Starting next week, right next door, we'll be building a old BMW. You know, just when your mind gets crazy and you need to go somewhere, I'll walk right next door and turn some wrenches, just to clear your mind. It's part of the deal.
It's
stressful. It causes anxiety, but you work through it because you know that what you're doing will become better, will become easier, and you are loving what you're doing. So that should be the only satisfaction you need, is that you love what you do.
Now, what resources would you recommend to people who want to get into web development?
If you want to get into web development, initially w3schools.com or .org, whichever one it is. That should be where you should start. You could read books and do the things that I did, but doing it hands-on helps you understand it further. And being able to test your own little code, see if it'll show up, that's pretty impressive. So there are tools out there where you can put in the code that you've been working on, and it'll export what it's supposed to look like without having to put it on a dummy website or building your own domain in order to host these things. You can use W3 Schools to do all of it. And I'm not being paid by W3 Schools to say this. Like, W3 Schools is where you gotta go. There are other resources out there, but for free, why not?
Right.
You can also sign up and take some Google courses. If you want to get better on your SEO, take a Google class. You can get certified as a Google SEO partner by taking a few classes and passing some tests. And I believe it's free. When I went through any Google classes, they were free. They're two very different things, SEO and websites, but you need one to make the other run. So you can't forget about that. My phone thinks that I'm talking to it because it's a Google phone.
And last question.
Yeah.
How would you recommend people who are getting into web development, how do they find and connect with like-minded individuals, like-minded, you know, web developers, people who are trying to learn? What tips do you have for, you know,
tips for how to learn,
or finding people
that
to motivate you?
You know, do what Yusuf did. Come and knock on a door. Honestly, we were so busy from the start that we didn't really have anyone to go talk to. YouTube videos helped us with some things, but as far as meeting people in the community, I know a big thing today is Reddit. Reddit could be a place that you could reach out, because you really don't have to know anyone in person per se to learn things. You could post on any kind of forum. Even W3 Schools, they've got a forum you can sign up for, and you can post on there to see if people will help you, and to just reach out. We found some great people on Fiverr, to be honest. We had a couple of little projects that we had some code that needed to be done, but we didn't have the the manpower to do it in the time we needed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we went on Fiverr. I paid a guy $50 to develop a very special web form that that would have taken at least one person a week to do. Paid him $50. He had it done in 3 days, and the functionality was unbelievable, and he became a full-time employee of ours. Not here in Charlotte, but elsewhere, and he does unbelievable work. You know, just, it's hard to say, because we didn't go out looking for assistance and all that stuff as we started, until we got to the point where we needed someone to code something special for us. And that's what it came down to. But yeah, W3 Schools forums, Reddit. I know you have Reddit.
Yeah.
These, you know, Josh and Nick, they're obsessed with Reddit. They know news a week and a half before I read it anywhere, or a meme that shows up. They've seen it 3 weeks ago. So Reddit's where it's at, apparently. You know, they're big gamers, so they do their stuff there too. But yeah, you know, just focus on W3 Schools. Read some books if you want to do that. Test out your code. Don't learn the old stuff. Focus on, you know, HTML5 and anything that revolves around it. Your JavaScript, your CSS. If you want to get into more advanced things, Python, all those kinds of things. Or if you just want to focus on PHP, it's an option as well. But if you want to have all of the options when it comes to building websites, stick with HTML and CSS and JavaScript. There's just unbelievable things you can do.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Appreciate your time.
No problem.